You have to support the things that you say with evidence. Back up all of your claims with research. Hi, my name is Shantae, and I'm a professor of public speaking and speech. I'm also a motivational speaker, and I teach people how to use their voice to make an impact in their communities around them. And today in my classes, we are talking about the importance of research and support. It is so important to back up the things that you say with evidence. And I use support and evidence as that because we typically think of research, but I think that students have this whole concept of research means I have to do this in-depth, search and dive. And back in my day, it was go to the library and read through all the books. And, these days it's a lot easier to find support for the things that you're saying and support your arguments. But what we don't want to do is just make ridiculous claims and not support them with actual evidence. One of the craziest things I asked my students to do in class on Tuesday, super simple, was to tell me what the minimum wage is federally. That's it. It's just hey, what's the federal minimum wage? And one student decided to just guess. He goes, $16. I said, no. Then he kept guessing. Is it $15? $14? And I paused and I said, hey, that little thing that's in your hand, that little handheld device there, it has something that you can use to look up that information so that you can be accurate. It doesn't take that much time, and yet we still don't do it. We are used to somebody else feeding us the information, except when you are giving the speech, you're the one who's feeding the information. And in order for you to be persuasive, you have to back your information up with support. I like to say that evidence, support, research is really just having someone who is smarter than you back up the things that you're saying. It's really simple. It doesn't have to be more complex than that. If I tell you, as a person who is not in medicine, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I don't have all that. Folks, my degrees are in speech and theater. That's what I do. I talk to people for a living, and I teach other people how to talk for a living. So if I'm going to talk to you about something that is science, medicine, things like that, I dang sure better have somebody who is in science or medicine to back up what I am saying. That is research in a nutshell. Because if I'm trying to persuade you to do something that has its roots in science or medicine, then I should have somebody who is in science and medicine to say the same things that I'm saying. Hey, look, I'm not the only person talking to you about this. There's somebody else who's smarter than me in this area who's saying the same thing. Now, it is important for that person that you select to actually be reputable. For example, if I am talking about autism in children, I should likely have people who are in medicine, science, who have worked with autism in children and have done said research. Might want to find those folks to back up the claims that I'm saying. I would not want to find a, say, chiropractor who has no experience in treating children, working with children who have autism. Probably not the best resource. Do you get at what I'm saying? So when you make claims in your speeches, it makes you a more credible speaker in order, if you have people who are smarter than you in the area that you're talking about, to back up what you're saying. That's all research is. If I make a claim, I'm going to support it with research, people who are smarter than me who can back it up, right? And then I'm going to elaborate and explain it in my own words because it's important for you to have that support. What we often skip is that middle part where it's the person who's smarter than me and we just talk about it in our own words. We can't do that. We all have access to information. It is up to us to do that information research, to back it up, to look for those credible people who are smarter than us to support our claims. It doesn't take long, but it is important for us to do that work in order for us to be effective public speakers. So make a claim, but find somebody who's smarter than you to back it up so that you have support. Done.